My name is Greg Nilgis. Today's video is in support of Sonoran Desert Institute's FTH 223 hammer fired course. Today's date is 18 July 2024. And the reference for this video is the Module 3 lecture. And there is no live ammunition in the workspace. I do have a firearm. We have a feed source that is empty of any cartridges. And we have visually inspected the chamber of the firearm to ensure it is safe. So for part one of this video, we're going to do a dry fire function check of the firearm. And with no snap caps in this case, we'll move on to that afterwards. We're going to check basically the function of the firearm the best we can in the condition it is, which is no ammo, no snap caps. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to confirm that the safety system operates as it should. So we have a hammer in the cock position, and right now the safety is engaged, and I pull the trigger. The hammer does not drop, so that checks, and then I disengage the safety, pull the trigger, and the hammer does drop, so the safety system operates properly. Now we're going to check the reset of the trigger. Well, I guess we'll have to pull the trigger to do that though. Pull the trigger back, and we're releasing the trigger, listening for the reset. There it is, reset's good. So next that we've got that out of the way, we're going to just take a look and listen and feel of the firearm as we're operating the action somewhat slowly. We're checking to see that the barrel unlocks as it should and locks as it should. And we're also feeling just the slide to make sure nothing's binding or hanging up anywhere that doesn't feel like it should. This is very subjective based on your experience with the given firearm. And we're also listening for any maybe contact of components that don't sound normal. So with that out of the way, we'll move on to the snap cap or dummy round check. Okay, continuing on with part one, we're going to do a function check using snap caps. We've got 5 snap caps loaded in our magazine. We have a clear, visually and physically inspected firearm. We're going to insert a magazine, and we're going to let the slide go home, chamber the first round. At this time, we'll go ahead and retest our safeties. Safety is engaged, and nothing happens. Disengage the safety, hammer drops. We're going to keep our trigger pulled back so we can check our reset. We're looking for an ejection, and we got one. Our reset checks, we'll keep doing that until the slide locks on the empty magazine. So what we've done there with the snap cap, using the snap cap function check or dummy round function check, is we've checked all of our cycles of operation the best we could without firing, with the exception of firing. So we got the feeding, chambering, locking, unlocking, and the cocking, and we've got the extraction and ejection. But again, we can't check the firing without doing the live fire. For part two, we're going to do a field strip, and we're going to identify the subassemblies of the firearm. We've already previously cleared the firearm, and there's still no live ammunition in the workspace. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to release our slide, line up the dots, and we're going to push out our slide stop, which this one's hard, so I'm going to tap it with a mallet, plastic polymer mallet, and pull it out. And the slide assembly comes off of the frame. We can remove our recoil spring, our barrel, and we have a slide. So our major components are the slide assembly, the frame assembly, or major sub-assemblies I should say, and the recoil spring assembly. And although not a true sub-assembly, the barrel, and that's because the barrel is instrumental in the operation of the firearm with firing and chambering as well as locking and unlocking. So that is one of the sub-assemblies. All right, for part three, we're going to do a function check on the sub-assemblies. There's really not much of anything we can really function check on the recoil rod assembly, so we'll set that aside. Taking the slide sub-assembly, one thing we can do with the barrel is we can just basically test fit the barrel into the slide and see that it locks up as it should. And it does. That's about all we can do with the barrel on the function check, but we can continue on with the slide sub-assembly, and we can confirm that our firing pin block safety works. So with the firing pin plunger not depressed, we should be able to press our firing pin, and it does. Now when we push down the plunger, the firing pin safety plunger. We should not be able to exercise the firing pin, and we are indeed not able to. So that function check is complete. Moving on to our frame subassembly. There's several things we can check here. One is the safety. We can articulate the safety in the engaged and disengaged position. And then we can also visually confirm that it is blocking movement of the sear. And we further can exercise that and watch it. And with the safety disengaged, we can confirm that our decocking disconnector is working as it should when we pull the trigger. And in the single action mode, we can double check that the hammer catches, or the sear catches on the hammer hooks, and it does. And we can release that by pulling the trigger. And we're also just looking for basically internally, if there's anything that looks like it's not smoothly operating as it should, we can do a visual inspection of the interior. The other thing we can do with it is we can double check our magazine catch, and it does catch and it does release. And that completes the subassembly function check. For part 4 of the assignment, here are my dimensional drawings. Hopefully I've captured the appropriate measurements. This is the firing pin. Here's my drawing for the recoil rod. And last but not least, the ejector. And I will say this, I did not capture every measurement possible on this. I think you could spend a week doing this drawing, particularly with the limited experience I have. Hopefully I've at least captured the intent of the assignment. Okay, here's video evidence of the detailed assembly complete. And for part 5 of the video, we've reassembled the firearm, and we have no live ammunition in the workspace, and we have visually and physically checked our firearm, make sure it is safe. And at that time, we can just make sure everything works as it should. The safety does work. And the firearm seems to work as it's designed to. Magazine locks back. And the magazine drops. That completes this assignment.